I'll tell you what, there's some areas of the United States that do that. I don't know where this is coming from, but yeah, that's ridiculous. You don't ever want your client talking to other agents, first of all.
Then as an agent, what's your role?
Well, it depends what their contract is, right? I mean, are you a facilitator? It's kind of what is there limited representation? Is it full representation? I mean, there's a lot of little things that come in here. But I think the other thing that said on there was talking about it was a coming soon listing, and that they were going to wait and get photos on Monday. So it's a coming soon listing that's going on before you have photos. So your first impression is that, oh, here's something that's coming on, but I don't really know what it is. So by the time it comes on, it's not as fresh and exciting anymore. So I think you got to kind of watch that. I mean, you don't have to give all the pictures, but you got to give something. You got to give a better deal.
Coming soon is a good tool if you're trying to gauge a market. So like I've used it as a tool where it's a teaser, right? So if you're trying to get momentum, so you're not just starting the treadmill at zero, you're actually jumping on a treadmill that's already moving. Yeah. The idea of a coming soon is to be, you run the coming soon period. How many calls do we get? How many views do we get? Are people inquiring about the property at the price it's being marketed at? Or are we flatlining and we need to make some serious adjustments before we go live or active? And so the idea there is really, in my opinion, is to see like, hey, what are people going to pay $725 for this house or not? Is there anybody even looking at that price range right now? Because you can really, make a lot of decisions in marketing that will reflect, hey, it's a slower market versus a faster market versus let's put all in and go nuts on this thing for 3 weeks. And,
I'll tell you one thing. My wife was telling me that she goes, you got to smile more when you're on that show. That's the one thing that kind of sucks about these podcasts that are filmed. Because, I mean, we never smile. I mean, we were looking at notes and doing different stuff and we're still able to talk and be able to get it out. But as a challenging neighbor with whom it's hard to be friendly, our houses share a wall on the left side divided by a half block and half iron fence. Unfortunately, I can see right into his house, which I'd rather not do. He insists that the wall was installed by him and that the previous neighbor didn't contribute to the cost. He's adamant about not wanting anything to touch his wall.
Well, if it's his wall and it's on his property, it's his problem.
Right.
So first of all, wouldn't you have a surveyor take a look at it and make sure that it is his wall? Because if it's on the property line and there's no agreement, it's half your wall. You can do as much as you want, up to 50%, right? Same thing with him telling you can't plant anything on your side of the wall. Come on. That'd make me plant twice as much.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta know what your land is your land, and you can do anything on your land that you want, as long as it works within the ordinances. So, but if it's on his wall and you want to put ivy on his fence, I mean, you can't do that.
If it's on his property, no.
Yeah, it's his, right?
If you're smart, when you put a fence in anyway, you'll put the fence in a foot, but then it's like, what do you do with that strip of 1 foot? So then the neighbor, doesn't want to mow it, and they're like, you can't come on my property. So then there's like, do you need to have a 2, so you can run a lawnmower down it, or do you put it right on the property line? And most people will put it right on the property line, on their property, but up to their edge of the property. So in that case, I don't know really what to tell you there, because I get it's your wall, but when you put it where it's invasive into someone else's space, almost in the tune of an encroachment where it's not on your property, but it's really, really, really close. It feels like an encroachment. I don't know. I decorate it the way you need to decorate it to make the wall work for you.
It's amazing how sometimes that stuff really affects. I just bought a house that the guy I bought it from and the neighbor have had a dispute all the time about trees and lot lines, and they know exactly where the lot line is. And so the one put all his trees on the one side and it goes over to the other people's and don't touch my tree if you wreck my tree. And the other one put up little, basically took an irrigation system and then did like little faucets and put them all along the lines, and it was just like, God. It's just like, but it was a 30-year, now they're both gone, but it was a 30-year battle, which was really kind of sad. But.
Well, I think we had this last summer. We had a guy that was talking about being on acreage, and then the new neighbor came in and had the boundary lines, actual survey done, and like all the trees that the neighbor thought were his were actually yours, and all of a sudden it's like, and then the neighbor says, well, I didn't agree to do a survey, so we're going to keep it the way it is. And that's where you get into some disputes.